I've been thinking about getting a new camera because my Olympus EM1 Mark II is about 10 years old. I've had it for about 6.5 years. So it's, in camera terms, my camera's quite old and it's had a lot of use. And there's nothing wrong with it though, that to be fair, but I think it's time that I looked at getting an upgrade. And the obvious upgrade for me was the OM Systems OM1 Mark II. And that's like the 5th iteration of the camera I've got. And that camera's got much better sensor and lots of great features. However, the OM1 came out about 4 years ago, about now, and the OM1 Mark II came out 2 years ago, about now. And it makes sense, or it seems obvious, that OM Systems should really be thinking about upgrading the OM1 Mark II to potentially an OM1 Mark III about now. It's time. It's a couple of years since the last one was upgraded, and that got me thinking, should I hang on, wait for the OM1 Mark III to be released, have a look at that camera to see how much better it is than the OM1 Mark II, and consider if it's worth me jumping into that camera first rather than waiting? And if it isn't that much better, should I buy the OM1 Mark II as a used camera and make use of the cheaper prices when the new one comes out? Because of course you are more than likely to be using the OM1 Mark II now, and it's probably a really good camera for you. So if it's a good camera for you now, it would be a good camera for me. In thinking about this, what I decided to do is have a look online and to see what the likely spec of the OM1 Mark III might be. And that's what I did. And I had a look at all the forums or the blog pages, all those sorts of things. I had a look to see what people think is the new camera's going to have on it and what they want. And in this video, I'm going to try to have a look at all that detail and go through that with you and try to give you an indication of what we might expect to see on the new OM1 Mark III. So let's have a look. And by the way, before I carry on with the video, if you are enjoying my photography content and you haven't subscribed, now would be a really good time to do it. It's really easy. Just click the button and you've subscribed. And it will make a massive difference to this channel because it will get my channel seen by lots of other people, and you see that I'm doing these photography videos. So hopefully, if you wouldn't mind subscribing now, it would be awesome. If you have already, thank you very much. Now let's get back onto the video. The first thing to look at is the sensor, and all the forums seem to suggest that what we want is a bigger sensor, potentially 25 megapixels or more. But the consensus is what we're likely to see is another 20 megapixel stack sensor, which it seems obvious really, because that's what the sensor's been for the last few years. But that sensor, we would expect to have better dynamic range, better ISO performance, and a faster readout speed. So we shouldn't expect to see a massive change of the sensor, huge resolution, but marginal gains, small changes. That's what we're likely to see. The next thing is the processor, and the processor is probably the biggest thing, and potentially we could be seeing a brand new processor, which would be amazing. But what would that brand new processor give us? Well, it would give us definitely a faster burst rate. It would give us a bigger buffer size to be able to work with that faster burst rate. Potentially we'll have better computational features, more things, and we'd have even a smarter, more improved AI. And AI seems to be the thing that is probably going to be the biggest change in photography. We see it all the time in photos. Obviously, we're looking at making cameras easier to use using AI, not necessarily changing the image, but just making things easier. But the processor is likely to be the biggest change that we'll see in the new camera. Autofocus and AI are kind of the next big things that's likely to change. So we're likely to see stronger bird detection, so better subject detection overall, and faster detection. It's all around focusing on and finding the subject, locking into that subject and improving that detection. I think that's very likely that we're going to see that in the new camera. So what else is on your autofocus and AI wish list? Well, better subject detection with no switching. So subject detection is all very good already, but what people are asking for is to have much better, faster, stronger subject detection without it switching, because it can sort of jump about a bit. Also, the smarter AI, where you've got to focus on small animals or insects. So let's assume you've got a little mouse and you want it to focus on a mouse in the undergrowth, and it can actually lock onto the mouse. And with that, faster tracking. So that little mouse that's running around, you can imagine AI probably could sort of track that mouse much better than the human eye, and it could keep the focus for you. They're just a few of the extra things that you might be interested in for autofocus and AI. What about computational photography? And that's something we mentioned earlier. Well, one thing we might see is handheld high res with motion correction. So imagine taking that picture of that boat in the harbour that's very gently moving, and you're holding high res handheld, but you want the camera to be able to correct that motion. That would be pretty cool. Improvements to live ND, it's not something I have a lot of experience with, but if you've got an OM1 Mark II, I think EM1 Mark III also has it, then your live ND, the improvements to live ND would be pretty cool. And focus stacking with HDR, we could see that where you've got HDR and focus stacking, or any stacking, and that would be pretty cool. Save us doing it. Yeah, that would be pretty cool if it did that. What about hardware changes? Well, it's probably just going to be minor tweaks, likely to be the same form factor. Hopefully it'll keep the same battery. So if you've got a compatible battery already, you don't really want to have to buy more batteries. And really, we're just looking at marginal changes to the form factor. What would you like to see from the hardware changes? Well, some of you have mentioned that you'd like to see the on-off switch on the right-hand side. I think that, to me, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. It's either right or left. It doesn't really matter. You would like to see a better IBIS. So my Olympus EM1 Mark II has got really good IBIS. Obviously not nowhere near as good as the OM1 Mark II, but to improve on that would be pretty impressive. And you would like to see the use of CF Express memory cards. Now, I didn't know what they were. I've had a look at them, and wow, they are 2 or 3 times the capacity and 2 or 3 times the speed of the SD card. They're good SD cards, and you think, why isn't the rest of the camera industry using those? Because they would be awesome, especially with faster burst rates and bigger buffers and potentially bigger, larger file sizes. It just makes sense to use the best capacity cards you can. That would be really nice. So what won't change? Well, to be realistic, we're not likely to see any big change of megapixels. We're unlikely to see any change in the sensor, and we're really not likely to see any change in the form factor. And it's really more about, increasing refinement and performance than any great changes to the camera from, physically, if you like, or the sensor. They're not unlikely to change. So that's what I've found on the forums and the blog pages, and I hope it all kind of makes sense and you agree with it, maybe that you've got a different wish list. If you have enjoyed watching this video, it'd be awesome if you give it a like. But thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio. In addition to all those things that I've already mentioned, I didn't really want the video to go on too long because I didn't want it to be too boring. I've got a longer list, or a list of stuff that, in addition to everything that you might be interested in. See if any of these resonate with you. Let's have a look. I'm going to read off a list, so apologies for keep looking down. AI noise reduction in camera, nice. AI upscaling for high res, once again, nice. Faster processing across the board, that makes sense really, doesn't it? Even ideas like computational depth of field. So for instance, you're taking a picture, we kind of know that Micro Four Thirds has this perceived depth of field challenge. If you want to take a picture, and you could do in-camera depth of field rather than having to do it in Lightroom or whatever you use. That's quite nice. Rename custom modes, better file naming. That I can't see everything all the file naming, but you could maybe look at that. Faster switching between modes is another thing. Custom buttons and dials, improve those. A better histogram visibility, that might be a nice. Actually, you sometimes see other cameras have nice histograms, and our Olympus OM Systems histogram thing isn't too good. The image quality refinements, we're talking about a better ISO performance. We mentioned that 14-bit raw files, that sounds really good. And modern formats like HEIC as opposed to JPEG. A better white balance control, that's another thing that was mentioned. As far as video is concerned, so LUTs or film sims would be nice. 4K 120p, another interesting one. Better codecs and better shutter angle control. So all these things kind of make sense. And really, a lot of these things to make workflow usability easier. That's kind of where we're at. But there were just a few extra things to just tag on to the video.